Non-distilling producers are companies that are in the bourbon game, but they don't make their own whiskey. They source from other places, and they have to be stopped because they are ruining bourbon.
Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Erin.
I'm Josh, and we talk about whiskey and whatever other stuff comes up on this channel. Oftentimes do blind tasting, so if you like that sort of stuff, check out some of our other content. But today, we're going to be talking about how non-distilling producers literally are ruining bourbon for us because we only want to drink their stuff because they have a lot more variety than a lot of the legacy distilleries. We're going to get into it. We're also going to cover our 10 favorite non-distilling producers. We'll talk about why we like each one, some of our favorite products from their line, and quickly I want to touch on non-distilling producers, or NDPs, which is what I'm going to say through the rest of this video to help my own tongue-twisting action through this. But NDPs are in the height of the bourbon boom, maybe 7-8 years ago, leading up through, the last couple of years when things started to cool off a little bit. There were a lot of companies out there that were just starting companies, making up stories and sourcing young bourbon from various places and trying to make a buck on the back of bourbon being red hot. And in that sense, those companies actually were ruining bourbon, period.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a good approach to it. They're not putting out quality. They're just focusing on the money.
Mm-hmm. It's like a cash grab almost.
It definitely felt like a cash grab. Mm-hmm. The non-distilling producers we're going to be talking about today are companies that started either before the bourbon boom, or if they did start after or in the bourbon boom, they are focused on quality and focused on putting out a really great product. Yeah. They care about the whiskey enthusiast. They care about the community. And the idea of this came from Jim and our Patreon. We were mentioning some topics to talk about. He mentioned something about non-distilling producers that triggered something in my mind, and I was like, man, I just had this conversation because we do a lot of barrel picks and we go to places, and for instance, we've done barrel picks at legacy distilleries like Buffalo Trace, Old Forester, Wild Turkey, Jack Daniels. They all run their barrel pick programs a little differently, but when we go to Jack Daniels, they put out 3 barrels. We got to hope that they're good. We have to pick between one of those 3. So far, we've gotten very lucky to get good barrels. We actually got really lucky last week when we were at Buffalo Trace. We were up there picking a Blanton's barrel, and 3 of the barrels tasted exactly like what I expected Blanton's to taste like. Luckily, the 4th barrel in the lot, which technically the first barrel of the pick, but it was much richer and more concentrated than a typical Blanton's. We were really happy to get that because we look for that in our barrel picks. But, if we got 4 that were just a typical Blanton profile, it's take it or leave it. They're not bringing out extra barrels.
No.
And if we go back to Buffalo Trace to pick another Blanton's, or we go back to Jack Daniels to pick another barrel-proof Tennessee whiskey or rye, we're going to get whatever barrels they roll out. And that's all we're going to get.
Yep.
But when we go to places like we're talking about here to do some barrel picks, or we get products from them, they're pulling from different distilleries. They're sourcing whiskey from here, whiskey from there. They're doing different blending. They're doing different finishing.
They're able to accommodate, I think, the customer a little bit easier because there's less red tape, so to speak, as opposed to like a larger operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure red tape is
it's not the correct
right word.
It's not the correct. It's not.
There's more moving pieces in a larger distillery, and they don't have the ability to take care of the little guys like us.
Yeah.
And I guess I should predicate this whole video on saying that we like interesting things and we like really, really good whiskey. We don't have the type of relationships where we get every limited release bottle, and you may relate to that. If you do, we're in the same boat.
Yep.
But what we can do is we can go to distilleries and pick barrels that have those elements of special releases, that special it factor that we really love in special releases. And we can go to a smaller distillery, an NDP, and we've been to distilleries where we've tasted 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 barrels before to find the right barrels for us and our profile and make them available to. And if you want our barrel picks, you can get them over on Patreon. That's linked in the video description below. That's not what we're here to talk about, but just the fact that these non-distilling producers can spend the time and operate on a level where they're pulling different things from different
Yeah.
other distilleries, different states, barrels that hit the market. It just gives them a lot of flexibility to create more interesting products in our mind.
Yeah.
Now, there is a slight cost bump to that because they are paying someone else for the whiskey and then having to do their thing and resell it. But we feel like gone are the days of places just sourcing cheap whiskey and trying to flip it for
make a quick buck. Yeah.
These are places that are turning out good stuff. So let's
All
get
right,
into
let's get
it.
into the
We've said
whiskey.
enough. First up, I do want to start with one of the first non-distilling producers that really opened our eyes, and that's going to be none other than Blue Note. And Blue Note doesn't necessarily do anything super interesting with whiskey, but they do just source really good barrels and make them available for a very, very good price. And I started buying these picks in our local market and started really enjoying them. And I like some of the variety that I was getting in the products, and they just do a really good job, and they offer things at a really good value as well. Most of these picks can be had for around 50 or 55 bucks, and you're getting cask strength, barrel proof, uncut bourbon, oftentimes Kentucky bourbon, and you're getting it for cheaper than just about anywhere else that you can. So big fans of Blue Note, and the thing they do the best are these single barrel releases. That happens to be one of ours, but like I said, I've got more single barrel releases from Blue Note from local stores in our home than I do our own picks. We've picked a couple Blue Notes, but I've got a bunch of picks from Blue Note in our house. Next up, let's go to Dark Arts. And Dark Arts is somewhere we just went and picked 2 more barrels. This is one of our barrel picks, but we've got barrel picks from charity organizations. We've got regular release products from them. Dark Arts, I think, is such a great example of an NDP that's doing good things, because whether it be single barrels that they do special finishing on. So this is a Oloroso, or this is a toasted French oak finish. We've got an Oloroso sherry finish in the house.
I will say their specialty is really good finishing. I like them because they're subtle finishing. They're very good at their finishing.
Yeah.
In my mind.
And we just did a video recently with the Empyrean Batch 2 release that they just put out, and that's white port and red port finish. Amazing for $100. A lot of their barrel picks and things will run around that, 80, 90 up to like the mid 100s range, depending on the age, the finishing, all that stuff. But they're doing great work over there. We love their stuff, and they're well worth checking out.
Yeah. Also, their bottle can be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
Because it's so heavy, and with the glass stopper.
Yeah. And bonus tip, just when you're done with it, boil it, get all that stuff off there, and then you got a great water bottle too. So, speaking of distilleries doing very interesting things, I want to highlight Backbone. And we just got back from Backbone doing a barrel pick as well. This is not our barrel pick. This is their Irish whiskey. This is our friends over at Spirited Reviews. So if you're not checking out the Spirited Reviews guys channel, make sure you check those guys out. They're friends of ours, excellent people, just good human beings. Also do great whiskey reviews. Backbone does such a good job of a plethora of things.
Yeah.
When we were there, we picked an old bourbon, and we also picked what I call super sherry bourbon, which is a incredibly concentrated sherry finished bourbon that was then blended into other barrels to get the ratios exactly right. And nobody else that I know of is doing that exact process. But we tried all kinds of crazy stuff when we were there. We tried over 20 barrels to find the right barrels for us when we did our pick. I know the Spirited Reviews guys did the same thing. And I've known about Backbone for the better part of 7 or 8 years, because these were really, really popular in our local market here in Nashville, Tennessee. A couple stores had a really great relationship with Backbone, and they would go up there and pick barrels all the time. Bonus is that Backbone keeps their pricing incredibly reasonable. So you're getting very good whiskey for, this will be one of the cheapest bottles we talk about, and it certainly doesn't taste that way.
Outside of the Blue Note.
It's very close to the Blue Note.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and they're doing more interesting things, I think, than Blue Note, but depends on what you want.
Yep.
So shout out to Backbone for what they're doing. Next up, I think we all kind of know about Rare Character. And Rare Character.
Sorry.
does a lot of cool labeling. They'll put whatever they want on here, so a picture will be different for any single barrel release that you grab. They also do some other things like the Brook Hill lineup and some special releases that they do, but their core product that I think is their best thing are these single barrel releases, and they're the thing that you might be able to find, but they just source good barrels, and sometimes they're from interesting places. This is a rye whiskey, and it is actually from George Dickel. George Dickel,
interesting,
famously in the whiskey community, is a love it or hate it thing, with the majority of people coming down on the hate it side, I would say.
I like Dickel.
But I do not all that much. But Dickel made some rye whiskey, and I'm assuming they just tasted these barrels at some point, and they're like, wow, our rye whiskey is phenomenal. We don't release phenomenal whiskey under the George Dickel brand. We should sell these barrels to other people. And Rare Character got some of them. To be able to get a barrel like this is amazing. So shout out to Rare Character for sourcing interesting barrels. If you can get some of their special releases, they're very good as well. Yeah. But we really like the single barrels. But that's kind of what we like.
Yeah. What's next?
Next up is going to be Raconteur. And Raconteur is a project from Rare Bird 101, David Jennings, a famous name and face within the whiskey community. If you're not familiar with him, you definitely should get familiar with him. He's got a website, huge Wild Turkey fan, but him and a group of folks started working on this Raconteur Rye project, and he also dabbles in a bunch of other projects, but a lot of this stuff right here is either Kentucky or Indiana rye whiskey that's been blended together, sometimes toasted, and then finished in Mizunara barrels sometimes. Like, they're doing all kinds of stuff over there. Well worth checking out Raconteur Rye. Their rye whiskey is the best thing. He also has Caleb's Crossing, where he's doing some finished bourbons, all sorts of things, but Raconteur Rye is our favorite project that David Jennings is doing regularly, and that's just an enthusiast that has been in it for a while, knows some people, and is able to make some really cool things happen. So
that's very cool.
You can't beat that. Like, it's literally by an enthusiast for us enthusiasts. How can you go wrong? Next up is going to be Barrel King out of Bourbon, Missouri. I mean, what better location to be in than a place called Bourbon?
I didn't realize that's where it's out of.
Yep. And
I didn't know there's a city called Bourbon, Missouri.
Barrel King sources barrels and oftentimes will do, if I'm being totally honest, before I knew much about the company, I felt like they were doing very gimmicky things. Like, they would take some barrels and blend them together and then finish them in a used stag barrel. Or, they had a vanilla Tootsie Roll themed, where they finished it in like a vanilla something barrel, like a Mexican vanilla barrel, vanilla bean barrel. And it can sound gimmicky on the surface, but then you actually taste the products and you're like, oh wow, okay, these guys know whiskey and they know bourbon and they make good products.
Yeah.
In addition to that, our favorite thing that they release is pretty much anything that ADHD Whiskey, Mr. Matt Porter himself, puts his hands on. This is Voltron. This is a blend of finished bourbons that he did, but he's done all kinds of straight bourbon blends, all kinds of projects that he's worked on over there. They have a really cool membership type of thing where you pay an amount of money every month. They can ship to pretty much everywhere, and then the barrels and the releases, the batches are made available to you. They really focus a lot on blending and making good, consistent, high-quality batches. So, well worth checking out Barrel King out of Bourbon, Missouri. They're doing good stuff.
Yeah.
Sourcing mainly Indiana, MGP, bourbon, and some undisclosed Kentucky bourbon, which they work with to make their blends. Worth noting. Next
How many do we have?
10.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we have more than 10.
Next up, Sealbox. Now, Sealbox is a retailer, so I understand, and I would not fault you for being skeptical of the releases that they do. I was the same way, but I don't personally know the people behind Sealbox, but I know the people behind Sealbox, and they are people of...
Like, you know of them?
Yeah, like, I know they're people of high moral character. They're not just doing these sorts of things to make a buck. What we actually do like, I think they actually do finish blends pretty well also. This is the Beekeeper Batch 2, which is our favorite honey finish bourbon in quite some time.
Probably of all time.
Probably. They also have they had a humidor blend that we really liked. They have all kinds of stuff that they do at Sealbox. We've tried quite a bit of their finished stuff, and they do a really good job with that. So we really like the Sealbox releases. Bonus is that they're making the stuff. They're whiskey nerds. They're whiskey fans. They know good whiskey. They're putting together stuff, and then it's sold right through their website.
They don't even have to go through another retailer to sell it. They are the retailer.
Right. They also have, I forget what it's called. It's like a pro account or a VIP plan or something like that, where you get free shipping. It's worth checking out. I just don't know all the details of that, but that is worth checking out.
Yeah.
Now, we have saved some of the best for last, and I probably should have said that earlier in the video.
I see 11.
There may be 11. We'll do a bonus.
Because remember how I was like, just like a second ago, like, how many do we have?
Yeah.
And you said 10.
Okay, you're going to get a bonus. I can't count. I'm not good at math. I do know whiskey, though.
You do know whiskey. Facts.
Next up, Southern Collective Spirit Company. And this will probably be our bonus.
I just want to peel off the wax. Don't put wax in front of me.
This will probably be our bonus mention because Southern Collective Spirit Company is located here in Nashville, Tennessee. They are distributed, I believe, in 13 other states.
Okay.
With more coming soon. I think they're just now getting ready to go into Texas.
Okay.
Maybe Florida. Beautiful bottles, as you can see. You can see that gold, handwritten labels. But that doesn't matter.
They have an in-house calligrapher handwrite the name of the bottle on the labels, like an actual human.
Yeah.
She's very cool. It's actually crazy to watch her work in person.
Yes. And while none of that stuff matters to how the whiskey tastes, what Southern Collective Spirit Company does really well is they source interesting whiskey from interesting places. Now, they do have some of your Indiana MGP bourbon. They'll get some Kentucky bourbon from time to time. But we've gone there before and had Missouri 100% rye whiskey.
Yeah.
We've gone there and had North Carolina bourbon. We've gone there and had, they're sourcing stuff from all over the place.
And it's good.
And it's not good.
It's not just trash bourbon that North Carolina wanted to get rid of. Like, it's good bourbon.
Right. This particular bottle is a bottle from a single barrel that they have, and it is from Old Glory Distillery in Clarksville, Tennessee. You may have never heard of them. We happen to live near Clarksville,
Near-ish.
So been by there. I used to go to college in Clarksville. And this right here, this is a 4.5-year column still bourbon from Old Glory. A lot of their previous releases were pot still bourbons. They're getting their column still rolling over the last few years. This is a 4.5-year bourbon that when we had a big group of people here for Stuff and Whiskey's annual gathering, we went to Southern Collective and people tasted this blind, and I asked what age people thought it was, and people were saying like 7 to 9 years old. It's a 4-year-old bourbon. So they're doing really good things at Southern Collective. They're doing great things at Old Glory as well. But just the fact that Southern Collective gets cool things like this, that Old Glory's not releasing this out there into the market at large yet, but Southern Collective got some barrels, and we were able to taste those and bottle some up. So that's a ton of fun. Shout out to Southern Collective. They also do really good blending and finishing over here as well.
All right, what's next?
The best 3 for last, in my opinion. These are my favorite non-distilling producers.
Probably the ones you reach for the most.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
I think all of these are reached for specific reasons. I think the ones you're about to talk about are reached for at any given time.
Yeah,
For no particular reason, just because you
Yeah, and that's a good point. A lot of these are mood-dependent pours for me. These next 3 are just like, they're my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So I'm reaching for them anytime. I think first up, we should definitely talk about Evernorth. Now, this is a brand that was created by the Bourbon Junkies, a fellow YouTube channel. We are unbiased. Their bourbon is just good.
It is good.
They've got good bourbon. They've got good rye. They do good blending. They do good finishing. They know good whiskey. They're not going to be putting out
trash.
Some of the legacy distilleries out there, some of these releases that they put out there, you got to taste them and just think to yourself, man, are they just trying to make a buck?
Or like, who let this out the door?
Right.
Like, who signed off on this?
Whereas, like, their entire reputation rides on the barrels and the bottles and the blends that they do. So they're not just letting anything out the door. This happens to be a rye whiskey, and while I do think what Evernorth Spirits does incredibly well, they do very, very good blends, and they also do some finished blends and some finished whiskey that is very good as well. I like their single barrels the best because I'm just a single barrel guy, but I think the coolest thing is that they get some barrels that you just don't get from other places. They have a good relationship with Sagamore Spirits. This is a Sagamore Spirit rye whiskey. Look at the color on this thing. It is motor oil, and this is 140 proof. Good luck going to Sagamore Spirits and getting them to give you a barrel of 7-year-old 140 proof rye whiskey. It's not going to happen, but you can get it through Evernorth Spirits Company. So this is a charity barrel it was selected by a charity organization. It just so happens to be 140 proof, but stuff like this happens at non-distilling producers from time to time. You get like, oh wow, here's a 140 proof hazmat whiskey that probably wouldn't make it on the market from almost any other maker or legacy distiller out there, unless you're Jack Daniels and you're going to release it as a special release that nobody can even buy anyways. But here it is right here in a single barrel from an NDP. And it was $70. You cannot beat that. You can't beat it.
Did your brain just explode?
Why are we buying anything else other than this stuff?
We're running out of room on the table, my love.
Well, let's move them down. So let's get these last two here.
Yeah, we need to.
The Reveries. And I should have grabbed a Raven batch because we really like the blending that they do. We just actually were at the Reveries and we picked a Murder of Crows, which is a Raven batch that they do, which is a blend of Kentucky and Indiana bourbon, Kentucky and higher aged Indiana bourbon, and then it was finished in French oak cask. The Murder of the Crows, but this right here, and that was in collaboration with Spirit Reviews. We brought those guys with us, and we're splitting that one, so you can get that at either place if you're interested. But this was a 16-year pick that we did, and this was one of those buff turkey barrels, the contracted by Wild Turkey, but it's all Buffalo Trace stuff. And this 16-year-old tastes like a single barrel of George T. Stagg. And we were able to get a barrel pick of this just because the Reveries had those barrels, because they're in the know, they're in the industry, and they're after really good barrels.
Yep.
So something like this, to get a single barrel of George T. Stagg from Buffalo Trace, I can't even get a regular bottle of George T. Stagg from Buffalo Trace myself, much less get a single barrel of it.
Yeah.
So getting stuff like this is just really cool. But I know that the Reveries is really focused on their single barrel program, but they're also really focused on quality blending, very quality finishing, and their reputation. I think that's kind of the overarching theme here, is these companies' reputations are only as good as their last release and their next release. So they're really focused on quality.
That's true.
And I think you can taste that.
Yeah, I agree.
So last one up, we have more bottles from this place in our home than anywhere else.
Facts.
And it is Nashville Barrel Company. Now, what do Nashville Barrel Company do better than, or their best product that they have, I should say, is their single barrel picks. Now, anytime you're doing a single barrel pick, like with the blue note down there, the backbone here, the Evernorth here, any of these Reveries picks, even the Rare Character, it depends who's picking it. If somebody goes in there and they're looking for something that's just smooth and easy, you can find that. If you're going in there looking for something that's got that limited edition, concentrated it factor that we like, you can find that at these places too.
Yep.
So it is important to know who's picking the barrels, the single barrels. So don't just go to Total Wine or some big box store or some random liquor store that won't tell you who picked it or why they picked it. But if they can tell you who picked it and why they picked it, then you can really have a much safer spend on the bottles that you're purchasing. With Nashville Barrel Company, we happen to live close to there, so it's easy for us to go taste barrels. We do a lot of barrel picks there. Again, if you want our barrel picks, you can get them linked in the video description below. But I brought this bottle out to highlight some of the cool things that happen at NDPs that would just never happen at a big distillery. This is a 24-year-old single barrel bourbon from Kentucky from Barton 1792. And Nashville Barrel Company did not order this. They did not.
Can you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's known. Like, they just got sent these barrels by mistake. And that cool mistakes like this happen. Sometimes cool hazmat 140 plus proof Sagamore 7-year ryes get sent to Evernorth. Sometimes 24-year single barrel bourbons get sent to Nashville Barrel Company. You know, sometimes crazy Irish whiskeys get sent to Backbone, and then they finish them in double oaked casks, and it creates something amazing. You know, this range that you get here is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And every single one of these places, you could go there and or buy releases that they have, and you're going to get variety in there. You're not just buying the same thing. You know, we like Jack Daniels, and we like Heaven Hill, and we like Buffalo Trace, but all that
And Wild Turkey.
And Wild Turkey. But all those things are, you know, they all taste like what they taste like.
Yeah.
But you can buy stuff under these labels, and you can get some variety. And we think that's a beautiful thing.
It's very cool.
And it's kind of ruining bourbon for us because
Also, this is in my way.
we don't love, you know, we don't love going to barrel picks where we're only offered 3 or 4 things to try. And we're not. It
is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is more fun for us when we feel like we've got more of a choice in what we pick.
Yeah.
Because we want to pick great whiskey. So, and we also like drinking great whiskey.
Yeah. And to that point, if we go to a legacy barrel pick where they only give us 3 or 4 things to try and none of them are good, then we just wasted a trip because we're not going to pick a barrel that's not great. But with these, we're actually able to pick great whiskey, drink great whiskey, make it available to our community. But all this stuff is out here on the market as well for you to try in your area. Find somebody or another channel or a pick group or a club that picks based on your preferences.
Or a store nearby.
Or a store. And you can have this exact same experience where you live.
Yeah,
so, or,
absolutely.
you know, buy stuff online like Rack and Tour, Sealbox, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's it.
Have you said everything you need to say?
Yeah, let us know what you think about non-distilling producers down in the video description below. Has your opinion changed after the bourbon boom and a lot of these fly-by-night brands that popped up with these fake stories just to capitalize with cheap bourbon that they tried to flip for profit? Now that they're gone, are you starting to feel differently about NDPs like we are?
Yeah.
Or are you still staunchly in the camp that I'm not paying $100 for what might be one of the best bourbons that you get to taste all year long just because it's from an NDP? Let us know in the comments below.
Let us know your comments. Yeah. Thank you for watching our video. Be good to each other, and until next time.
Cheers.